East of Venezuela and north of Brazil lie the forgotten countries of South America: Guyana, French Guiana, and Suriname. Sometimes called the Three Guianas, or just the Guianas, though that also includes portions of Venezuela and Brazil. These three countries may be largely overlooked in the context of South America because they are not part of the Latin America that is largely coterminous and often erroneously conflated with South America. Guyana is the only English-speaking country in South America, though like many of the nearby Caribbean islands that count English as their official language, an English-based Creole is more commonly spoken. French Guiana is a department of France, and French is spoken there, among a number of indigenous languages. And Suriname, a former colony of the Netherlands that gained independence in 1975, speaks Dutch, along with 8 indigenous languages, multiple Creoles based on African and Asian and European languages, Chinese, Arabic, English, French, Portuguese, and Spanish. Suriname is a diverse nation, with a culture that draws from South Asian, West African, Indonesian, Chinese, Dutch, British, French, Jewish, Portuguese, Arab, and indigenous sources. The food is equally diverse. In the past, we've covered a few Dutch-Surinamese sandwiches, Broodje Kip and Broodje Bakkeljauw, both showcasing the Southeast Asian influences in Surinamese cuisine, though perhaps toned down a bit by Dutch tastes. Broodje Bakkeljauw is another Dutch-Surinamese sandwich, this one featuring a salted dried cod that may betray a Portuguese influence, since bacalhau, Portuguese for salt cod, is perhaps the most pervasively used main ingredient in Portuguese cuisine. Or did the Surinamese love of bacalhau derive from the Spanish bacalhau, the saltfish ubiquitous in the cuisines of the Caribbean? The oldest records we have of preserved cod being used as a staple food for sea voyages are actually from Viking records of a 9th century journey to Iceland, though Portugal has been drying fish for thousands of years, simply hanging the gutted fillets to dry in the warm, dry Mediterranean winds. Cod, though, is a cold water fish not found in the waters off Portugal. But when the European sea powers of the age of modern colonialism reached North America and the bounty of cod off the coast of Newfoundland, the Portuguese palate passionately embraced the salted, dried cod the New World produced. That word, though, bacalhau, its etymology may have it descending from the Latin baculum, or stick. The older style of unsalted, dried fish was called stockfish, meaning stickfish, and it was called that because of the almost wooden texture of the fillets once they were fully dried. But another theory has it deriving from the Dutch kabeljauw, a word for cod related to the French cabeljauw. In other words, though we may hear more about Portuguese bacalhau or Spanish bacalhau or even Italian bacalhau, all seafaring cultures of the time used salted dried fish, and Dutch bacalhau has been around as long as any of them. The Surinamese preparation of bacalhau combines many of the various influences in Surinamese cuisine, but in some ways it isn't all that different from other Caribbean versions of saltfish, combining rinsed boiled saltfish with tomato, onion, and garlic, seasoning it with Maggi cubes and/or Indonesian shrimp paste, before browning the resulting fish mash in oil and serving it in Surinamese bread rolls called vitapuncha, or white points. These rolls are crisp on the outside, soft but sturdy and resilient on the inside, and terrific for sandwiches or just cutting open and buttering and eating out of hand. Some recommend dressing the fish in the sandwich simply with cucumber and red onion. Those, along with lettuce, are very common accompaniments for Dutch sandwiches. But other recipes I've seen online call for pickles and sambal instead. Those pickles might be lightly quick pickled cucumbers or a kind of Surinamese mixed pickle called zoergoed, featuring cucumbers, onions, carrots, and bell peppers. And the sambal, a term used for various spicy chili-based sauces and pastes in the cuisines of Southeast Asia. Well, the Surinamese version of sambal seems to consist of a sweet, mustard-based pickle, very much like an English-style piccalilli, zhuzhed up with some onion, garlic, and Madame Jeanette chili peppers. I can't find those, so Scotch bonnets would have to do. It's a lot of prep for a relatively quick denouement. To make the sandwich, I sliced open a vitapuncha, buttered each half, Put a thick layer of bakkeljauw on the bottom side and a thin layer of Surinamese spicy piccalilli on the top side. Then added some of the tsurgood on top of the fish. The saltfish mush is dense and salty. Its deeply savory flavor enhanced by the tomato paste and concentrated by cooking down in oil. Salt cod is not generally very fishy in flavor, though it does have a pungent aroma from the long drying process, a funky, fermented type of smell that is only reinforced by the Indonesian shrimp paste I used in this recipe. But it's not an unpleasant odor, and the intense umami of the fish is delightfully cut through by the salty and sour pickled vegetables, as well as the sweet, spicy, pungent piccalilli sambal. Less spicy than I thought I'd get from the 5 Scotch bonnets I put in it, but a nice kick regardless. Anyway, you put all that in a crusty, soft little roll, and it can't help but be a good sandwich.